he had to step away just because of his like other jobs, his actual jobs or whatever. And so there was a while there that Randall was just running the books by himself, and it was not good. I did not do a good job. And so
welcome to the Business Growth Masterclass, where business growth is made simple. I'm your host, Albert Gillespie.
And I'm your co-host, Kellen Ketchersid. Join us as we bring you stories from business leaders so you can learn from their wins, their losses, and everything in between.
Today's guest is the owner and co-founder of Monomyth Coffee, a local coffee shop here in Lubbock, Texas. Without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Mr. Randall Jackson.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
I am excited. I've been a handful of times to Broadway and
so 2024 Broadway.
2024 Broadway. Yeah. And I remember walking in and seeing a plaque that you guys had that it was like a Church of Christ Who's Who here in Lubbock.
Yeah. So yeah, our the people that donated to our Kickstarter is kind of that what landed there. So yeah, all of our sweet people that believed in us before we ever did anything was those are all those names. So
what year was that you guys got started?
Yeah, so we started in 2018. So we got the building in 2018 and then actually opened the doors in 2019. So we ran a Kickstarter during that 2018 kind of like Christmassy season, I think, and it got funded and people were just really nice to us. So
all right. Coffee shop. Tell our listeners a little more about Monomyth. You know, you're not a normal coffee shop. Give us the skinny, the elevator pitch. What is Monomyth Coffee?
Yeah. So we are, we try to be like a values-based business here in Lubbock. Trent and I were in coffee for a long time beforehand. We started in 2013 at Yale House Coffee, which was like a icon for us in coffee here in Lubbock. And we just wanted to, bring a values-based business to Lubbock and kind of start with a really good product that a lot of people connect with. So Trent and I were always wanting to have like a business together. Growing up, we started in like, wanting to like do a sandwich truck, but then moved on to coffee in like 2013, like I said. And then, yeah, it worked out that in 2018, my wife's grandpa bought our building and we got going. And like I said, a lot of people were very kind and supported us from the beginning. So mission, vision, values is kind of where we started. So we wanted to create a welcoming environment for guests that welcomes people in and sends them out encouraged. That's kind of what the Monomyth name came from. It's the hero's journey. So we see that every person has their own story, and we just want to be a part of their daily life. Coffee is a cool thing that gets to like bring people in, and then we use it to like encourage them along the way.
So that hero's journey is a concept that I think a lot of business owners need to hear about. And can you explain a little bit about how you guys utilize that in your business?
Yeah. So, we listened to the Donald Miller type thing. We were really into Donald Miller
business
at the time.
Made simple. Yeah.
So, we got the advice that like the guest is your hero. Right. And so that's something that in our training manual, we really talk about a lot is just, seeing the people we're interacting with who are choosing to come and spend their money with us. They are, kind of going through their life. And we are kind of solving the problem, first of all, of, we need a coffee, we need energy for our day. Right. And so that's the first kind of like, problem we're trying to solve. But also we see that like, people are going up against challenges every day and like having to, pursue something that they're passionate about. And so we want to be kind of like either like inspiration or just an encouraging word on that journey, to kind of allow them to like pursue their dreams and stuff. And so that's where like the aim high stuff came from. Our little motto is aim high. And we wanted to, encourage people to pursue their passions as well. And then, yeah, and then we also want to just provide community to people because we think Lubbock is a really special place, and so kind of having a central location that people can meet and talk and be a part of something bigger than themselves is what we want to provide as well. So
Yeah.
community and encouragement.
Well, it's so important as a business owner to not make yourself the hero, but your customer is the hero. And
Right.
like Business Made Simple, we talk about this idea of, if you're thinking from a customer's perspective and you're thinking about what they're going on in their journey, it's interesting that a coffee shop could take that concept. And I love that. You're thinking about this hero, my customer has a problem. They need, their morning to start off well and have a community to go into. And so as a business owner, I'm thinking about how can I say I'm not the hero, I'm the guide. I'm the Yoda,
Right.
I'm the one who's coming alongside and saying, hey, here's what we do. And here's how it helps you, solve the problem that is on this journey that you're on, as in our case, a business owner, or in your case, customer. And it takes some empathy about like what's the experience somebody's going through, and also about how you're solving their problem. I love that you guys are able to capture that in what you're communicating to your team. So.
Right.
And I appreciate the values based business, especially in today's age. Shopping with businesses that share your values like that means so much. And
Right.
and you can see it whenever you go in Monomyth. It is like, it's a throwback, man. It feels like that, small town diner that you have the regulars that have their spot,
Right.
and everybody, there's a lot of people with their laptops open and just getting the day off, and they're regulars and they know everybody, they know you by name. And that's such a cool thing to be intentional to create. And it's not super common now.
Yeah, it's definitely rare. And when you find it, you want to go back. I mean, it's clean. There's an inviting environment. The people are friendly, all of those things. So, but you guys do more than just the coffee shop that most people think of, right? So
Right.
Can you tell us a little bit about the other parts of the business?
Yeah, so we also have our roasting/wholesale program, which is kind of the things that we're focused on right now. We roast coffee and sell wholesale to other cafes, and kind of try to provide value to those other cafes as far as training and just information on like the stuff we've had to learn kind of the hard way, right? And so we have that business. Then we also have our catering business, which is kind of like our attempt to spread out amongst Lubbock without opening just too many cafes or opening another cafe at the moment. So going to like weddings and going to other businesses here in town that will host us and just getting to set up shop like for a temporary experience or something.
Okay, roasting. There's a lot to that.
Yeah.
The complex global supply chain that is roasting. And so I guess before that, can you describe what all goes into roasting? What is that process?
So roasting is just turning green coffee to brown. So coffee starts out as like the pit of a cherry, and it gets processed in usually the country of origin. So they ferment it in some way, and then it gets all the fruit taken off, and then it turns into a what we know as a coffee bean. And then we take it's actually green when we get it, and we roast it in like kind of like, it looks kind of like a dryer, like a clothes dryer, and just with powerful gas engine kind of, and then we we roast it and it turns brown, and we pull it up and bag it up. So
Ready to brew at that point.
Yeah. So, and then you grind and then brew it as well.
So the unique flavors of different coffees, is that, where does that come from? Is that the fermenting process, like kind of the mash that it's fermented in, or where does the flavor come from?
Yeah. So there's a lot. Yeah. So like the terroir of like the farm that it's on. So like all the plant cousinry or whatever. I can't really remember what that word is. But like all the plants that are surrounding it, and all the plants that like kind of they grow in tandem with the coffee, affect it, the soil, the elevation, and there's like varietals of coffee. So like a red delicious apple versus a Granny Smith apple. So same thing with coffee.
Yeah.
There's different kinds of coffee. And so those factors are kind of like before that. And then once they pick all the coffee, it's all picked by hand and then fermented in usually like vats. So they mill it. So they take the skin of the cherry off, put it in like a vat, and then they ferment it, and then they get all that mucilage off. And then that's kind of one route. And then the other route is natural process, where they so they have like they take the beans off or the cherries off, dry it in the cherry, and then that's what kind of produces those like wild and crazy flavors. So,
okay,
this is getting kind of nerdy.
No, it's okay. What I love about that is the inside and out of what it takes to have a good tasting cup of coffee.
Yeah,
and I think the lesson for business owners, regardless of the industry you're in, is what is it that's going to make my business stand out, or my service, whatever it is. How can I have the best possible product? And sometimes you've got to really nerd out. Like you said, you got to get in the weeds. I got to know where this stuff is coming from. I got to know the whole process of how it's made so that I can get it from the best source. And so I would imagine that played in part to why you guys are doing your own roasting today, as opposed to just buying up somebody else's stuff.
Yeah. And there is like, the financial aspect of like people are always like, oh, if I roast my coffee myself, I'm going to, make a better margin, like, cause you buy green coffee prices versus other. But yeah, I mean, I think we just were wanting to be like very honed in on the craft of coffee. But I think we have kind of landed at the fact that we think that's like just kind of like the intro to a game, right? So like the basic level of having a coffee business is making good coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of have to have like the values and stuff on top of that make your business special and stand out. So.
Absolutely. What were you going to say a minute ago, Albert?
Oh, I was just, that is interesting about the surrounding plants, and it just makes me think about the garden that we have at home. We have, cucumbers that grow next to the jalapenos. And because of that, the cucumbers have this like unique kind of hint of spice.
Yep.
And that's just, I don't know.
It's amazing how complex all that can be.
Yeah.
It is.
It's so complex. And to, reiterate your point, Kellen, the business owner knowing the how and the why, and going down every line item in your chart of accounts, in your profit and loss statements, and understanding what is happening in each step and how that affects the customer. Like that, like being intentional and caring that much about every line item is like that's the secret sauce of a successful business. And delivering that unreasonable hospitality that we talk about all the time is going line item by line item. How do we make this the best product that it can possibly be?
Yeah, for the best possible customer experience. Yep. And then the other thing that stood out to me from what you were saying a minute ago, if I own a coffee shop, I don't necessarily think that the next step to grow my business is to start a B2B, like providing coffee, or to do a catering service. So I'm curious as to why you decided to go that direction, as opposed to say like, let's just open another shop on the south side of town or something like that.
Yeah. Like cafes do come with a higher, investment up front. So you're buying equipment, doing the full build out, trying to negotiate a lease. The roasting business is kind of, at least at the point we're at, we bought a big enough roaster to grow, which we kind of had that intention from our original loan and everything like that, was to buy a big enough roaster to grow. So we saw that, you could get one leased out space for your roastery and could grow to, 10 cafe. You serving 10 cafes or 30 cafes, and you don't have to necessarily expand your roasting operation. You just kind of are increasing time on the roaster, which is, that's kind of been the goal. Just kind of have a like central location and as well as catering as well. So those two things kind of have the opportunity to grow with kind of one initial investment, as far as like we can buy an extra bar or have two bars, and like until we max out those things, we don't really necessarily have to grow.
So playing the long game, like you were thinking, if we have a big enough roastery to expand later on. So there's so many good lessons in that.
Yeah, I have a question there. I think I'm your competitor. I have a cafe across town, but you are roasting these beans and selling them to me. Why would a cafe in town buy those?
I mean, we hope it's because of the value we're adding to the like business operation, on top of like, providing a consistent, really well roasted product. But I think the things that, Trent and I have been in the coffee industry for the last like 12 years, like, which is ridiculous because I'm only 30. So it sounds crazy to say I've been in my thing over 10 years. But we have learned a lot of hard lessons over the last 12 years, as far as like how to manage the business well, and how to like hire employees, and how to like create a training manual that works, and how to do these things with efficiency in mind, as well as, like consistency in product, where, I think a lot of people in our specific industry are very like, we got to make the best coffee, and we source coffees from around the world. And that is all true for us. But again, like we want to be adding value to those businesses that are deciding to partner with us. And yeah,
So when you say adding value, are you describing a consistent and dependable supply chain, that it's right here, it's close, it's not having to cross the border anywhere with any potential hangups? There's like a consistent quality. If there is an issue, there's a guy here locally that you can go, I know where you live.
Yeah.
I want this made right. And so it's just more of a local provider that you can provide a different level of service.
Mm-hmm.
And have you seen kind of creating this ecosystem of craft coffee cafes here in Lubbock and in West Texas? Have you seen that ecosystem kind of, lift all boats and make everybody stronger, or describe that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the like West Texas scene is definitely, on the upswing. I think here locally, they're really good cafes, and they're doing really good stuff. And so we just want to continue to add to that. And so providing that consistency for our wholesale partners is very important to us. And then, like one of our partners called me the other day, like, hey, I saw y'all do oat bowls. Like, how have you
oat balls?
Oat bowls. So like
oat bowls,
like
okay.
Overnight oats or whatever.
Yeah. I've had them. They're great.
Yeah. I was just able to walk him through kind of,
the recipe.
Yeah. Recipe, where we're buying the plastic bowls, where we're getting all this stuff, and kind of like how many we're selling a day, how we prep them. So again, trying to provide that efficiency for him, as far as like, here's how we figured out how to do them, because we started out putting them in individual containers and making all of them individually. Now we make them in bulk, and then
learn from my mistakes before you do the same thing.
You don't have to do that. And so we kind of got him going on that, and talked to him about it again, and he said it was selling really well, and he's doing good with it. And so that was was a win for
That's
us
cool.
on the roasting program. Even though it's not anything to do with coffee. We're getting to help their business overall improve, because if they're being more successful, so are we. So because if they're selling more coffee or selling more things, and their business becomes much more sustainable, then we are also more sustainable in our roasting program.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And that is like, on TV and in movies, like that business owner is always this like greedy old man who, Mr. Smithers or whatever his name is from Simpsons. And that's just more often than not the case.
Right.
And in like, for our listeners, like engaging with your competitors doesn't mean it's going to hurt your business.
Yeah.
A rising tide lifts all boats. And if you can lean on each other, and when there are, the random things that the global supply chain collapses and you kind of have to lean on each other, there is a network and a team and a community to lean on to rise the tide. And that's so cool, because you can learn from your competitors and make each other better.
I want us to do this in real time as an example. By the way, I don't know about Mr. Smithers. I was always a Scrooge McDuck kind of guy.
There you go.
But
my mom never let me watch that.
I want us. She let you watch The Simpsons? Come on. We're not watching the Disney ducks. We're gonna put on The Simpsons, kid. No. All right. So Randall, let's do this. Like I said, I want to try something in real time here, because a lot of business owners listening are like, 12 years, man. I hope I can make it to 12 years,
Sure.
And you guys are a name in town that people know. So there's a lot of people who might be listening to this thinking, man, I hope I can get to that point. Can you think back to another time in the early days where you're figuring things out and things are just hard, and, maybe a time where you struggled through and learned a good lesson from the business?
Yeah. So, the last 2 years, we've been doing really well. Because we hired a bookkeeper. We had a family member who was very gracious to us in the beginning, kind of help us set up our books, and was kind of helping us with it. And then he had to step away just because of his other job, his actual jobs or whatever. And so there was a while there that Randall was just running the books by himself, and it was not good. I did not do a good job. And so, so we hired our friend Blake, who's in our little mastermind group with us, which has been really cool. But Blake kind of turned around our business. So but before we hired Blake, we were at 1% profit, which is just terrible. I was freaking out when we got our numbers back, and Blake had gone through and pulled it all out and showed me hey man, this isn't going really good. And so kind of got to a point where I was like, oh no. So and just being able to go back through and figure out why those things were happening, and kind of seeing where we were under or overspending on certain things, or underpricing on other things. And he was able to really line us up there and get us in line. And so that was a really big win for us, that was coming off of a pretty hefty oh man, because we offer our team bottom line profit sharing, right? And so at the end of the year, when I pulled out that number, I was like, oh no, this is gonna be $50 for everyone. Is that okay? So it was really a sad situation.
Humbling.
Yeah. It was just oh man, can't believe I let it get to this point or whatever. And
but there's value in knowing where you're at. And I think a lot of business owners are just operating on a really bad spreadsheet and some sticky notes.
Yes.
And they don't know that there's hardly any margin, or they're losing money.
Right.
And sometimes just knowing the truth, even if it's a hard truth to face up to, is what's going to move you into a better future. So
and there's so much of that you don't learn in school.
No.
Right? I mean, you're looking at the bank account every month and you're like, well, that dollar amount is lower than it was last month, and that doesn't feel good. And in reality, a lot of times these business owners, like, you're a do-it-yourselfer, I'm going to get the job done, and you're busting your tail and you're working really hard, and you're like, man, I'm not making any money. Is this worth it? And a lot of times getting a financial education and having an expert who can tell you the story that your financials are telling helps you make better business decisions. And I'm sure you've sold more since then, but I bet initially it was, hey, we don't have to sell anymore. We just have to spend the right money at the right time to have the right profit.
Yep.
And man, those are hard lessons. And I appreciate you being vulnerable with that. But so many business owners go through that exact same journey. And on the other side, they're like, man, I couldn't tell you how a balance sheet and a profit and loss, I couldn't explain that to you like a teacher, but I know how it works for my business.
Yeah.
So one question I think is relevant to you and a lot of business owners. We're kind of in a weird economic environment right now. There's a lot of business owners whose costs are rising. We kind of are all kind of waiting to see how this is going to shake out over the next 12 months. But can you speak a little bit to what that looks like in the coffee business? And we were talking a little bit before we hit record. And so I wanted to share some of that with our listeners, if you're willing.
Yeah. So, I was actually working on this today. Y'all were asking me what I was doing today. Right now, the coffee industry is in a really wild spot just with, the global economy, as well as just like, the weather that happened in Brazil earlier this year. So, 2 years ago, there's like the commodity coffee market. The commodity coffee market was at like $1.80 per pound, like maybe 18 months ago. And then right now it's at like $3.80. And so, so we're having to navigate, everyone is, I think, kind of waiting a little bit to like raise prices. Just from looking around the industry and all that stuff. But we're all kind of watching just like the volatility just kind of hit the books and hit our customers as well, and trying to figure out how to navigate that in the way that's, again, continues to keep our business moving forward and able to supply jobs to our people and all that without, just saying like, hey, a latte is $9 now, deal with it. That would be crazy. We're obviously not doing that. So,
I think there's another person or another large corporation that I feel like if I go there, that is what I'm going to pay.
Right.
So good on you guys. And that speaks to your values, which you were talking about right off the top. But I think for a lot of business owners that are in a place right now where there's a lot of volatility in their market, and agriculture or supply chain, whatever it might be, as a business owner, knowing what those things are and seeing things coming around the bend before other people is so important, so that you can be strategic and you can plan ahead, and make decisions that aren't just, a last minute hasty bottom line decision, but also with the customer in mind. That's a hard thing to pull off. And I mean, good on you for knowing those things ahead of time, so you can be cognizant of what's good, not just for the business, but for the people you serve.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to, I think of other industries, and I think of like the community that you've built with other coffee shops, other cafes, that those are the times that you lean on the gray hairs, the guys that have been there before, bought the t-shirt, know how to navigate it.
There's wisdom there.
Yeah. And that's, for the listeners listening right now, like, things are tough.
Yeah.
The global economy is tough. Our local economy, it's, in one of those cycles that always come around.
Yeah.
And leaning on those who have been there before, developing that community and those relationships within your industry, that you can pick up the phone and say, hey, the price of beans went up 210%. What do I do? Do I just up the prices, or how can I think strategically and creatively with my team to maybe tweak what we're doing to maintain profit margins and keep the lights on?
Yeah. What is that famous quote? History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. I think it's Mark Twain.
Yeah.
And it's, you can learn a lot from people who have been weathered those storms at different times in history, and learn from the old timers, as Albert likes to say. I think that's a good thing we can do. And for some of our listeners who are 2 years into their business or 5 years into their business, listening to a guy who's 12 years into something like this is also a good experience to learn from. So, but as Albert said, we're navigating this as a community. There's several different sectors that we know have to deal with rising prices right now, and it's just the reality of business and in West Texas. So, despite sometimes having to figure out these challenges and work through them, what are you excited about when it comes to the future of Monomyth? What are you guys looking forward to over the next year or two?
Yeah, I think, like I said, we're trying to work on our wholesale program. So beyond just providing coffees, like what other things we can provide to our partners that we're working with. And so working on, like, how to help people build their training manuals, and how to provide, value financially to people as well. So like working with our bookkeeper Blake at Singletree, to provide maybe another cafe, like, hey, here's how we have figured out how to get to that profit margin. Here are the metrics that you should be looking for on the day to day, and just being an open line of communication for them in the situations like we're all in, right? And so it's like, how can we provide that value? And so Trenton and I have been spending a majority of our time trying to get like that stuff built out, and ready to go, just because that's our focus. And so I think, I'm excited to continue to help some other cafes get to a point where they're, pleased with their business, and seeing a return for the hard work that running a specialty coffee shop is. And so that's what I'm most excited about. Yeah.
Trenton's your brother, right?
Trenton is my brother. Yes.
Man, I love y'all's story from Yellow House to like, hey, we're gonna do this on our own with your brother. Like having that dream. I just think about like my little brother, like having that dream together.
Yeah.
Having family buy into the dream and building something, and even like having the forethought to work on a profit sharing plan with your employees. So they're bought in, they're treating it like a business. They're treating the customer like it's their own baby, and building this value driven culture that you described. Like, that's such a great story. And man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I do too. And we preach that in our business coaching. And, it sounds like even before you went through our mastermind group with local LBK, that you were already thinking about how to align the incentives of your team with the bottom line of your business. And so many business owners need to think about that. Am I, when I structure pay for a new hire, or I talk about incentives with them, am I getting them to do are we all fired up for the same cause? Are we excited about providing the best service in West Texas in our coffee shop, and the best experience when you come in, or the best catering, or best instructions on how to build up your business in your case when you're doing your consulting? I'm just impressed with how you've done such a good job of diversifying your business, and at the same time aligning your team, like Albert's pointing out. So there's a lot of things that I think people can learn from in there. With that in mind, I think we're creeping up on time for a fire round.
Let's do it. Fire round.
All right. So what's the number one thing that business owners need to do or to be thinking about to control their input costs?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, track things that you are spending, and make sure you have a detailed, like, built out, like, cost of goods versus like sale price, and then find ways to either get your like purchasing volume up. So one of our biggest example was like our oat milk. We were purchasing it at a loss basically for a while. And then we found out we could order a whole pallet of it and break even on it. So we were like, oh, sweet. So yeah.
And you can store oats forever, probably.
Yes. Yeah. So they were going to last a year. So we were able to, snag a couple pallets and make that price make much more sense in the drink like cost calculator. And so that's something that we, like found that was just like, oh, great. Like, with Blake. Yeah.
So know your numbers and act accordingly.
Yes.
And it helps to have a bookkeeper who can help you go through that. # Blake Thomas at Singletree, another member of our mastermind group. So glad you gave him a lot of shout outs today.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll stop talking.
That's good.
No, I love that. And that is akin to one of the exercises that we go through in coaching. And it's looking at all of your offerings and determining the profit margin for each thing you do.
Yeah. And
that goes back to knowing your financials. And, is every little thing we're doing, is it really profitable? Is it really making money? And if it's not, either there needs to be a strategic reason, like we're getting more customers in the door for the other thing.
Yeah.
Or you might need to cut it.
Yeah. And sometimes you don't realize until you know the numbers, like, oh, I thought I was making money on that, but I'm really just losing a lot of time and money. And we just need to drop that.
Okay. Next question, especially when I'm thinking about, those regulars that have their spots and they sing your praises all over town. What is the number one thing that business owners need to do to create raving fans?
I think it's invest in your first guests or like your employees, like the people that you're bringing onto your team, and ensuring that they line up with your values and want to be a part of the mission that you're saying you're on. We have seen a weird phenomenon at the cafe that like the more our staff is following through on like our mission and like exhibiting the values that we like believe they have, the more our guests actually feel that way as well. So like we're seeing like reflections across the bar, like the people that we're bringing on our team actually start kind of like reflecting across the bar because people want to be like nice people want to come see nice people kind of. And so again, our team has done a great job at, believing in Monomyth, and then they're also just really solid people. And so it's nice to, kind of see that reflect in our guests as well.
So how you show up every day is not just for you, it's for the people you work with, it's for the people you serve. And I think we often, sometimes you're not feeling like it, you're not, but having, and in your case, having your staff even know that when I show up in the way that aligns with our values and I treat a customer the way we talk about, they're going to take on that energy too. And all of us are going to win. So that's a great lesson for any business owner.
And I love even the profit sharing aspect of that. Like teaching the big picture to your team, like teaching, the great game of business. We talk about that all the time. Great book. Like they know, hey, if our business is X profitable, like I'm going to get a bonus. And they start thinking like owners. And so it sounds like you've just created this culture of entrepreneurship and owners that work for you, that they're like, this is my baby. I know if I take care of this, if I take care of the customer and they keep coming in, like the business is going to make more money. I benefit from that. But it's just this like self-rewarding loop that you've built, and you've built a culture around that. And that's a great way to do business.
Yeah. Well, now that we know all the different ways that you can do business with people, how can people get in touch?
So you can find us at 2024 Broadway, at the cafe. We're also on the internet at monomythcoffee.com. You can email me at randall@monomythcoffee.com if you want to talk to me directly. And we're on Instagram as well, monomyth_coffee.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Man, thank you so much for coming in,
guys. Yeah, it's been great.
It's great to hear your story. And if you are a business owner and you feel stuck in your business, you feel like you plateaued and you can't break through, go to our website, stagcoaching.com, And in the upper right-hand corner, click to book your free consultation. And your free consultation, we can help you get your business unstuck. We can give you a plan with the next few steps to take to get to the next level. It's free. It's on our website, stagcoaching.com. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next one.